Now, if you're put off by creepy crawlies, then you better brace yourself. The Australian Reptile Park in Sydney is in desperate need of the highly dangerous funnel-web spiders. They won't be added to the park's enclosures. Instead, they'll be used to help develop life-saving anti-venom. Lara Himes reports.
Well, we all know that the holiday season is a time for giving, and there are many charities that ask for public support to keep them going. But have you ever heard of any group asking for your funnel web spiders? Well, Jake, you're from the Australian Reptile Park. Why on earth do you want us to supply you with these arachnids?
Well, the Sydney funnelweb is an incredibly dangerous spider, and a spider that we do create an anti-venom for. And the Reptile Park is the sole supplier of the venom for that anti-venom. Now, we need as many as we can possibly receive. Ideally, 400 per year is what we require, and it takes around 150 spiders to make one vial of anti-venom. So we need as many as we can possibly receive, and all of those do come to us via public donation. We don't actually have the time or the resources to go out into the bush, into your backyard and find these spiders for ourselves, so it's up to the general public.
They're pretty dangerous. How do the public go and catch these and supply you with them?
They are a very dangerous spider, Australia's most dangerous certainly, and the males, which are the ones we milk, are 6 times more toxic than the females. Now, despite being so dangerous, they're a relatively unskilled spider compared to other species. They can't jump, can't climb smooth surfaces, so if you've got one walking along the ground and you quite literally pop a jar in front of it, they will walk straight in. They're not the smartest things in the world. Very simple spider to catch.
So this guy has been dropped off to you today. How has this been supplied?
So we've come with this spider from a general member of the public. They've supplied it obviously in a jam jar. They've done everything perfectly correct. We've got a couple of air holes in the lid, which is obviously important for them to be able to breathe. And then we also have a little bit of sponge inside the jar. Now obviously that sponge is going to absorb a bit of water, and that keeps the spider nice and happy and healthy. They require quite a bit of moisture within the jar until they arrive at us here at the Reptile Park, where we'll provide them with a little bit of damp soil. Same deal.
Are they pretty quick when you let them out, or they run around pretty quickly?
They are a reasonably fast spider, particularly the males. The females are a little bit slower, so what I can do, if you'd like, I can tip this spider out there, and you can see him just sitting there on top of the sponge. He's quite attached to it at the moment, but once he gets moving around, he might give us a little bit of a defensive position, which they quite often like to do. They will raise their legs in the air and expose those fangs. We'll just get him separated there. Now the fangs of a Sydney funnelweb are extremely long.
Wow.
About 1 centimetre long. There we go. Now that's quite a large male there, and that's exactly what we want. That's what we milk for the antivenom.
And how do you milk them? What's the process of this?
Basically what we do with them inside these jars here, we get them to stand up, and then when they're really annoyed, they will begin to secrete tiny drops of venom just on the tip of each fang. And all we do very simply is we just go along and remove that venom with a little glass pipette, essentially like a little mini vacuum cleaner, and we just remove the venom off the tips of the fangs. But we only get around 3 to 4 drops from each spider, and that's why we require so many.
Now, you've got to be pretty brave to be able to catch these and secure them, but in terms of dropping them off, what's the process? Is there a long, elongated sequence that they have to do to provide it to you?
No, very simple. Once you've got them inside your jar, you can either drop them, of course, directly to us here at the park. We love having people hand them in right at the front desk. But otherwise, if you do live a little further afield, we do have drop-off points right throughout the Sydney region. So you've got a lot of your major hospitals will receive funnelwebs for us, as well as a lot of veterinary clinics as well.
From spiders to stingers, and if you were hoping the summer surge of stingers in Queensland's southeast waters was a one-off event, unfortunately we've some bad news. Speaking to 7:30 last night, toxicologist Dr. Jamie Seymour says increasing water temperatures from global warming is driving the rise in jellyfish numbers.
By and large, we have 15 to 20 million stings a year from blue bottles right throughout the world. The thing you've got at the moment is almost a perfect storm. It's the start of the season, it's been warm, you've got onshore breezes, increased water temperatures. I mean, it's just the thing that blue bottles like, and they've now ended up on the beaches where everybody's swimming, and of course it's hot and everybody wants to swim. So you've got thousands of blue bottles with thousands of people, and the end result is lots of people getting stung. I think what we're seeing is going to increase. I mean, we've been saying this. We found irukandji down in Fraser Island about 13, 14 years ago and suggested then that this is going to be a problem that's going to increase. Since then, you've seen the number of stings increase. If you look at the number of stings they've had this year versus last year versus the year before, it's increased. I think it's also driven a lot by global warming. We know the southern distribution of these animals is limited by temperature. So you have water temperatures down around the inside of Fraser Island of 29 and 30 degrees C, which is really quite warm. And these animals love those sort of conditions. So as water temperature increases, these animals have the potential to go further and further south.
Time now to say good morning to Nate Byrne, who's here with the weather. Now, Nate, ex-tropical cyclone Penny is still moving towards the Queensland coast. What's the latest?
Yeah, this is the story that just doesn't stop. This system, it's already had a go at Queensland twice, and now it's coming back for its third look. Now, it has slowed down a little bit. I'll show you the satellite picture, Kirsten, because you can see the cloud mass there. In fact, it's trailing back down the east coast of the country, but the system is still slowly moving towards Queensland. We are expecting it to probably make a coastal crossing sometime between late tonight and Thursday. At the moment, it's most likely going to be during Wednesday, probably later in the day, somewhere around Townsville, but there's a lot of uncertainty as it starts to move in towards the coast at the moment. But one thing we are certain about is plenty of wet weather with it as it comes. In fact, we've got warnings current along the coast. In fact, flood warnings as well along the coast, extending for much of the east coast of the state, all the way from the northern parts of the potential crossing area near Cape Tribulation down to St. Lawrence in the south. Now, we'll expect with it some damaging winds, perhaps gusting to 90 kilometres an hour. They're developing through the day today, particularly for the Whit Sundays. This is the area that's being warned for at the moment. I expect we'll see that becoming a little larger through the day once that system really starts to make an approach to the coast. Maybe looking at some rainfall totals in excess of 200 millimetres. The falls have already started at Mackay. We're up over 20 millimetres just this morning. So plenty more to come out of ex-tropical cyclone Penny, which is nowhere near done yet.
And so, Nate, I just want to check, there's no chance of it now re-intensifying into a cyclone?
No chance. We've got a 20% chance. So, that's called a moderate chance of re-intensification. It's essentially fairly unlikely at this stage, but it's not impossible. We probably won't be calling it a cyclone just yet, but keep an eye out, because over the next week or so, if that same circulation stays identifiable and starts pushing northwards, which looks like it's a possibility back into the Gulf of Carpentaria, it's back over those warm waters, we might be talking about tropical cyclone Penny once again. Who knows? Not yet, though. For now, it should stay as a tropical low.
Okay. Now, yesterday we saw extreme fire danger conditions in the west. Do you expect that those dangerous conditions will continue today?
Unfortunately, yes. We've got still plenty of heat across the north of the country. There's a trough that's been trapping lots of heat. That's what's been increasing the fire danger. In fact, the heat wave that we saw down in the southeast of the country towards the end of last year, the heat's still continuing through the north. We've mostly seen those heat wave conditions back off to a low intensity heat wave, but in the northwest of WA it has continued. So extreme conditions expected in terms of fire danger for the Gascoyne coast today, and a very broad area of severe fire danger around that. It's another hot, gusty day up that way, and so it's going to be a challenging day if we see any fires starting up there.
Nate, take us around the states.
Right, let's whip back over to the other side of the country and back to Queensland. Now, away from that stormy weather through parts of the tropical coast, we've still got some wet weather through much of the east. Storms right across the north as well for the peninsula and for Gulf country. Brisbane is looking at a shower or two today. It's a top of 30 degrees ahead. In New South Wales, it's stormy as well. Today, for central and southeastern parts of the state, we'll see them extending back into the northwest later this afternoon along a trough. So the capitals both looking at some wet weather and possibly some storms, particularly in Sydney. It'll be 29 there. Canberra's getting to 28. In Victoria, we're not getting away with storms down this way either. A humid one in the east. Storms are developing through this morning. They'll become more widespread after lunchtime, perhaps some severe cells on the way, and then we'll see the storm activity clearing into the far east later on this evening. Melbourne, it should stay fine. We're getting to 25 degrees. And some showers are developing in the west of Tasmania this morning with a cold front moving through. They'll spread through to the south and eastern parts of the state later on this afternoon, but it should stay dry if you're in Hobart, 25 there as well. In South Australia, a clear day, just the odd shower around the southern and western coasts. Adelaide staying mostly sunny, 27. And over in the west, we've got some storms extending through the interior just to northern parts of the southwest land division. The odd shower along the south coast as well. A mostly sunny day though if you're in Perth, and warm, 35 degrees. Now further north, if you're south of Tennant Creek in the Territory, blue skies. Pretty much everywhere else there's a chance of some thunderstorms, although in Darwin, nothing on the forecast for today, a partly cloudy one, getting to 34. Now looking ahead to tomorrow, we'll probably see what's left of Tropical Cyclone Penny crossing the Queensland coast, somewhere near Townsville. Meanwhile, in the southeast, a cold front is moving through, so temperatures dropping, only 19 on the way for Hobart.
Speak to you soon, mate.